Going all the way back to 2016, here's what I'm talking about. I nearly bought this item. I am and I'm not pleased that I didn't. Hi everyone, welcome to another video. So, a couple of things today. First of all, I'm going to give you an update on the house situation. So for any of you who are new, myself and my husband David, we've been looking to move house for like about a year and a half now, but last year because of work we didn't really get the chance to properly look into it. But because I retired back in November and then Christmas was so busy, but from January onwards we've been actively looking and we viewed a house yesterday, so I'm going to tell you about that. And also what we're going to talk about, I've got it in my notebook. Some of you asked me where this is from. Actually, this is from Urban Outfitters, but it is from many years ago. We're going to talk about things I'm glad I never bought. Like, it's a hell no from me. Glad I never bought these. And I need to say, little caveat before we get into this. If you own any of these items, you are not allowed to get upset. It is just an opinion. That's all it is. Everyone has an opinion. I own things and Lord knows you guys think some of the stuff I own is ghastly, and that is okay. It's a democracy. We all can say how we feel, and if you disagree with anything, feel very free to leave a comment below. I always take on board what you say, and I'm not here to offend anyone. I'm just here to, like, for an entertainment purposes, share my thoughts. So the house situation, as I mentioned there, we've been looking to move for a little while, and I had hoped to be in our dream house by Christmas just gone. But it didn't happen. Last year was a very busy year. So basically, for around about 3 years now, we've been slowly delegating new briefs and clients that we've got. And we've been passing that work to colleagues that we have in the industry with a view to winding down. And then we got to a point in November where we had like our last project and we got it finished and it was done. And then that was it. We're not taking on any more work now. The only thing I am going to do, and I've already got a job lined up in February, is David's fully retired. I want to stay fresh in the industry, so I am going to be doing consulting. So I work in marketing. I'm going to be doing consulting, but I only really want to do like a few days here and there. I don't want to get into like long-term consulting where, you know, it's just what I was trying to escape from and get some more free time in my life. So I am still going to be working, but just like little bits here and there. Anyway, going back about a year and a half, David and I seriously considered moving out of the UK. The reason why we haven't done it so far is frankly because we haven't found a place that we've been able to unanimously agree on. I personally love Asia. I don't know what it is, but as soon as I get off the plane in Asia, I feel right at home, more than I do in Europe, weirdly. And I've been to a few places in Asia, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and I would happily live in Singapore. I love the climate. I would actually happily live in Japan, but the language is a problem and I'm rubbish at languages. But Singapore, English is a primary. It's one of the big languages spoken there. Great people, great food, great climate. Like everyone says to me, I've got friends who are like, oh, you're going to get off the plane in Singapore and it's going to be so hot and it's going to hit you and you're going to hate it. And every time I get off the plane, I'm like, oh, I'm not cold anymore. It's really good. But anyway, it turns out getting into Singapore is actually quite difficult. So we, at the end of last year, registered with some estate agents in the area that we want to move to. And yesterday we had a face-to-face meeting with one of those estate agents who just gave us an update on what's going on basically. And what they've said is that in the UK for like the last year and a half, the housing market has gone down by around about 10%. So they've said what's happening is people aren't selling because when they do sell, they get made lowball offers. And obviously no one wants that. So there's not much out there, and where there is stuff out there, people have put the prices up to what the prices were, say 2 years ago, but they're not getting it. So then, and they're being stubborn and they're like not selling. So their house is like on the market potentially for a while. Anyway, they did have, in this area we want to move to, we've been looking on Rightmove, okay, you know, that app website thing, and there have been only 3 properties that have come up in this area, and those 3 properties have been on since last summer, approximately. And they've all been on since last summer because they're really overpriced for what they are, based on the condition that they're in. So they're all very run down. They're all very, they sort of, it's weird, they all look the same. It looks like someone's bought them and they've maybe been an older person and they've never renovated the place for like 30 years is how it looks. And some of these places, they've like left old bits of furniture in there, like old beds and stuff. So you'd have to get rid of that yourself. You know, that's going to cost money. It's all time and money. So anyway, we went and looked at this one place and the location was lovely. The house was really pretty, but it needs a lot of work doing. And we were thinking about going back with a builder and viewing it a second time and getting a quote on everything that needs doing. Painting's fine, we can do that, but it actually needs building work, and it's got 3 bathrooms. It needs all of them ripped out, they're really old. It's got a kitchen that needs relocating. It really could do with an orangery built on the side of it, and there's room to do that, but that's going to take planning, that's going to cost time and money. Do you see what I mean? And so what we calculated is it's going to cost around about £200,000 on top of the house price to get it nice, to get it livable, because right now it's frankly not livable. It's pretty bad in there. I wouldn't want to sleep in it. It's not good. So I don't know how we feel about it. I'm not feeling it's right for us. I think it's too much work, and I think if we were to buy it, I can't see us being able to live in it for a good 6 to 12 months, because I think it's going to take that long to get right. So, and that's the only one, like we've looked at a few last year, but it's the only one this year that we've looked at so far, because it's the only one on there that's like vaguely okay. So that's the house situation, and we're now on a waiting list for the area we want to move to with a couple of agents. And if anything comes up, because they've got a lot of landlords selling. But anyway, let's move on to things that I'm glad I never bought. I'm going to start with a funny one. Well, I think it's funny anyway. It's the Chanel Gabrielle bag. Do you remember? This was big back in, I think it was 2016. This was like I remember when this bag came out, it was very, very popular. And it was one that I must confess I never liked. There was nothing about it that did it for me. I didn't feel a massive urge to go and buy it. And then one of you said something to me and I couldn't unsee it again. So the base of the bag, if you turn it upside down, what does that look like? One of you said to me it looks like a pad. And as soon as I saw it, I could never get that out of my mind. And now that is what I see when I see that bag. But if you look at this bag actually pre-loved, they don't sell for very much because they're not in demand. And you know the new Chanel, is it the Chanel 25 bag? I wonder whether that could be a bag like the Gabrielle that's really popular now, but they might discontinue it in the future. And then you're left with, a bit like the GST. Do you remember the GST? The Grand Shopper Tote? Or even like the Chanel 19, that's not as popular as it used to be. I don't really see people with that. So I wonder whether that Chanel 25 could be just like a phase right now that's around for a few years, and then they move on to a different design and that one fades out a bit and becomes like the Gabrielle bag. But yeah, I'm really glad I didn't buy it. It's not my style anyway. It's not like something that I really considered buying, to be honest, but I'm glad I didn't buy it all the same. Okay, the next one, and this one is I'm torn on. It's because I actually did buy it and I wish I didn't. It's the Dior saddle bag. Yes, I bought this bag and I got the denim version, which you've seen before. It's really, really beautiful actually, and I haven't used it, so I probably will sell it at some point. It's in new condition. For me, this isn't I shouldn't have bought it. It's a bag that I don't use. It's an awkward shape, so when you put stuff in it, it sort of has a tendency to fall to that lower portion. And they're not lined. I don't know what they're like now, but my one isn't lined because you could get it personalised with your name on the back. And of course, if you get it personalised with your name on the back, they can't do that if there's a lining. So it's a pretty basic bag. Now, there is the new one that's come out in pink, and it's beautiful, and it's caught my eye. But I won't be buying it because I know that I won't use it. And so whilst it's really beautiful, and whilst I'm seeing it all over my Instagram right now, and Instagram is like, you need this bag, I'm kind of like, no. The next is the Diorever. And again, this is a bag that I bought and I returned it. How many of you remember this bag? This bag came out again, I think in about 2016. And I remember loving the shape of it, loving the simplicity, loving the fact there was actually no logo on it. And there was something about it that I just liked. So I went to Harrods, and I remember it was when, do you remember before they moved the Dior counter on the ground floor to where it is now? It used to be where, I think it was where Gucci is now, but the opposite side of that little area that's in. Is it where Saint Laurent is? I think it could be. It used to be there. Anyway, I went in and I bought this bag. And I remember this bag was actually very hard to get because it was very popular at the time and they were sold out. Anyway, I managed to get one and I got it home and did a video on it. And something about that bag that I never realised, and I wish I had photos of it to show you, but I don't. The leather on it was rippled really badly. And I unboxed it and I held it up in a video, and I had loads of you guys going, oh my God, Sophie, that leather is really bad. It was like loose and it was rippled and had like waves through it. And when I edited the video, I saw it and I thought, oh my God, that looks terrible. It doesn't look like that's how it's meant to look. It was never meant, it's not a slouchy bag. It was never meant to be slouchy. It was meant to be quite structured. And the leather on mine was like loose. So anyway, I take it back to Harrods. And I was unable to get a replacement because all of them had it. The batch that Harrods had, the black bags, I wanted a black bag. All of the black bags had this ripple effect on it, whereas the cream version did not. But I didn't want the cream version. So I just got my money back. And I am so glad that I did that, because I look back now and I think that low-key that bag has dated a little bit. And it's not one that I could see myself using now, potentially. So I'm glad I got my money back. Oh my gosh, the next one. Have you seen what is in for 2026? Deer print. Yes, you heard me right. Deer print. Forget like leopard, cheetah. That was the end of 2025, autumn, winter. Deer print is going to be a thing. It already is slowly growing. Keep an eye out for it. I actually kind of like it. I think it's quite cute. But there's nothing, and I have done a quick Google because I was like, oh, I wonder if there's anything nice that's in deer print. There's a few things I've seen, but nothing that I would actually rush out to buy. But I wanted to bring this to you in case you aren't aware, and in case you're looking at this going, oh, that's kind of nice. Like, go and have a Google for deer print sort of like jackets or clothing or whatever you want. They are out there. But I don't know if I'm going to buy into it. I think it could be a 2026 trend. And the things that I'm seeing look fairly poor quality. I'm seeing like lots of fluffy jackets from like ASOS and stuff. Which I don't want to order them and then they turn up and they look cheap and I've got to pay to return the item. See what I mean? It's just a faff. So I'm going to abstain from this one, but I do like it. And then the final is one you're not going to be surprised to hear about. The Van Cleef, yes, Van Cleef Arpels Alhambra range. I just want to put a caveat here for anyone who's feeling hot under the collar right now at the fact I just mentioned that. I believe that these pieces are beautiful. I love how they look, but I have my reasons why I'm glad I never bought into this range. Right, so back in 2016, it was not very popular. Might even have been 2015. It was not popular at all. I didn't really see it. I only knew one person that had the single clover as a pendant necklace, and that's how I knew about it. And she was like my friend at the time, and I was like, oh, I really like that. And she told me where it was from. So I go into Harrods and I check out the range, and I was very, very tempted. And you know, at the time, that stuff wasn't expensive. I mean, that necklace had to have been, I mean, we're going back over 10 years. That necklace had to have been around about, what was it like? I mean, it's still a lot for what it is, but like £1,000. Now it's over 2K. And I can't remember how much the bracelet was. I did look at the bracelet as well. The malachite version, because if I was going to get it, even now, I'd get the malachite version with gold, yellow gold. So anyway, I looked at it and I ummed and ahed, and I did the same with the Cartier Love bracelet, because that was not popular at the time either. They were both quite sort of like under the radar a little bit, but they were growing in popularity. But because they were under the radar, they were both at a price that you could go, okay, it's a lot, because you're not getting value in gold. It's a lot, but it's not thousands and thousands of pounds. You know, like the Cartier Love bracelet, how much is that now? I think it starts at like £7,000 or something. I'm actually going to do a video on that very soon, because I saw a very interesting article about the Cartier Love bracelet, so keep an eye out for that video. But yeah, so back in 2016, I was umming and ahhing over buying both. And I was in Harrods one day and I was like, I'm just going to go and buy the Cartier Love bracelet and a Van Cleef bracelet and stack them before the stacks were a thing, because I thought, oh, it's kind of cute. Anyway, I didn't do it. I don't know why. I think I remember at the time thinking, I can either buy those two items or I can buy a bag. And at the time, I would rather have had the bag. So the bag is what I bought. And I think, I'll tell you what I bought. I bought my Chanel Classic Flap, the jumbo bag that I've got. That's what I bought instead. Fast forward to now. I'm low-key glad I didn't buy those items. But at the same time, I'm not. So I think if I had bought them then, if I wanted to get my money back out, I'd definitely be making money right now. Depending on the wear and tear of them, because that Love bracelet does scratch up quite badly. And people, you know, most people would want a fresh version of it, I guess, as opposed to like a scratched up version. So yeah, when I think about it financially, I think maybe it would have been a good idea to buy it. But what puts me off is fakes. I got to show you this website. I found this just yesterday. I went onto Google, and I'm going to cover up the name of the website because I don't want to give them any advertising. But I typed in Van Cleef because I was looking for some pictures to put in this video. And literally this website pops up. It popped like page number 1 on Google. And it was in that shopping bar at the top of the results. So I clicked it, I was curious, and they have literally, do you know what they've done? It looks to me like they've taken screenshots of the real thing, off Cartier, off Tiffany, off Bulgari, off Van Cleef. They've taken screenshots of the actual products off those websites, and they've stuck them on their website because the pictures look the same as on the real thing website. And these pieces, they're not charging much for them. And I think, and to each their own when it comes to fakes. You might be someone who's into fakes for your own reason. I think when it comes to fakes, the problem with fakes, and I think we're going to start to see a big influx of fakes of the new Dior collection. Trust me on that. We're going to see fakes everywhere of that. I think the fake factories, as we speak, are already working on producing fake versions of those bags. But I think the problem you get with fakes is it ruins the exclusivity of the real thing. If I bought a Van Cleef bracelet and I see them as they are now, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. I see them everywhere. And for me personally, same thing with the Dior book tote, the classic version in the oblique, same thing with that. You see it everywhere, and you see nasty fake versions that look fake. And you look at your real thing and you're like, oh God. Like that Dior book tote that I've got is just here. I kid you not. I used to use this at the gym, and I'd see people with really bad fake versions and they would be giving me side eye. And I'd be like, okay, why are you being horrible? You know, and I think that's what fakes can do to a product, in my opinion, and you might disagree, but I think sometimes fakes can cheapen something. So for me, that's why I'm glad I didn't actually buy either of those items, just because I feel like they're a bit all over the place now. They're a bit, I don't want to say the word, but a bit commonplace. And they're both very beautiful. I'm not saying that. And they're both very desirable. They're just something that I'm, in retrospect, glad I didn't buy into. And I think if I had bought into it, I probably would have sold them a little while ago. I can foresee myself doing that. So is that everything? That's all the things that I'm glad I don't own right now. Except for some of the things I do own, like the saddle bag, which I regret buying. But I don't know. I need to sell that at some point. I need to do something. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Feel free to have your say. And remember, please, like, I don't want any of you to get upset. This is just opinion. And you've got your opinion and I've got mine. And we've all got our reasons why we buy things and why we don't buy things. And that's fine. You know, that is absolutely fine. If you own these things, I'm not saying they're unattractive. I'm not saying they're ugly. I'm just saying from my perspective, from like a functionality point of view, or like that Diorever from a defect point of view, they're things I'm glad I don't own. So please, let's stay calm. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.